Well, truth be told, today I actually get to bring on a friend of mine who I met, and I was trying to sell a house to him and his wife, and they backed out of a contract because I had termites. And I didn't know it, but long story short, he has become a great friend of mine and truly a pioneer in his own right, and always an adventurist and a great family man, somebody I truly respect. Marty Sampson is the co-founder of a company called Leash, which is taking care of your pets to and from A to B, wherever they need to go, and at your fingertips. And so we are going to see and hear about his story from this, how this maiden voyage began a few years ago to where it's at now in multiple markets and servicing pets across America and soon to be in a market near you. And we are excited for you to hear this story. And I am blessed to have him as a friend.
Yeah, guys. So this kind of incredible story from riding a mule to basically taking your mule to the vet for you.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But really cool story. I'm excited for this one for you guys to listen to it. One quick plug here. This whole podcast, whole operation is fully funded by Tyson and I's personal real estate business. So if you have anything on the real estate side of things you need help with, buying, selling, investing, happy to help in any way we can. Hit the link below to schedule a call with us. We're happy to help you on that side of things. Without further ado, let's get into the podcast.
Yeah. And one of my friends was like, "Oh my gosh, you got an iPhone?" And I was like, "No, it's not. iPod,
No, I'm not that cool.
You know?
Yeah.
But this idea of like, people are going to create apps for this thing.
Yeah.
And that's going to be like somebody's full-time job is creating apps. We just had no vision, you know?
Yeah.
But I was not a technology guy. I kind of stumbled into this, into this business. I had been looking for something else to do. I was working for a business here in Omaha, a publicly traded company, and I was ready to move on. And the inception of this. So I'd been looking for a business to buy or a franchise, something, and I just couldn't find anything that I was really in love with or that penciled out financially. Yeah. And so I'd put a little pause on it. And one morning, about 4 years ago, our dog, Wally, came tearing through the kitchen at like 7 o'clock in the morning. And my wife at the time, she was like 7 or 8 months pregnant with our second daughter. Mm-hmm. We had, I think Franny was like 2 or 3 years old. And Kate was like, "Hey, Wally has got to go to doggy daycare today." And I was like, "I cannot take him. I've got to get to the office." And she was like, "I'm not loading everybody up just to get Wally to the daycare." Yeah. And I mean, seriously, just in passing, she said, "You know, it'd be really nice if somebody could come and just pick Wally up and take him to daycare for us." And you're like, and I was just like, it hit me like immediately, like, like basically like a ride share, but just for pets. Yeah. People who work in the pet care industry, who are groomers or vet techs or, daycare attendees, whatever, in their off hours, on their days off, they can sign up, be a driver, and drive other people's pets to and from their daily appointments. Yeah. And, it didn't take me too long. I chewed on it for a bit. I went to look to see if like anybody was doing this. I thought, I live in Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah, totally. I cannot be the only person who has this need. Yeah. Sweet. And somebody has had to have developed this already. It just has not made it to Omaha yet. Right, right. Mm-hmm. And I went out there and I was like, when you search for something and it's not like in your face, you're kind of like, there must be an opportunity here.
Yeah, there's some blue water.
And so I was like,
we're going to talk about blue ocean every episode.
Blue water. Yeah.
Blue ocean. Yeah.
And so I was like, like there's really nobody doing this. Yeah. I mean, there's always a guy in every city who will walk your dog, pet sit, pick up poop, and then they'll do transportation as like the fifth thing down on the list of things they do. But there was no business that was purely focused on just daily rides to and from daily appointments for pets. And so, yeah, I was like, I'm going to do this.
Sweet.
And I just started working at it. And I put together I should show you guys this slide deck. Like the original slide deck from it is, I mean, it's hilarious. But the nice thing is the concept is the same from 4 years ago to today.
Yeah.
It really hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And we started working with, so Kate, my wife, started, we basically started, I mean, it's her idea. It's not even my idea. We started working on it. We started working with the Startup Collaborative down at the Omaha Chamber. And, huge kudos to the folks that used to run that. Erica Wassingner ran that for the longest time. And we really kind of went through their process of like, is this a viable business? And it's always tough because you don't know, is this thing really viable or is this just kind of viable?
Right.
And there's this attitude in kind of tech startups to like fail fast. Like you want to fail fast. You want to test something out, and if it doesn't pan out, you want to just
Move on.
And I'm not sure that I'm like a huge believer in the fail fast. I think if you have a good idea, if you know that there's a market, if there's an opportunity, you have to stick with it.
Yeah.
How do you know if there's a market for something? You know what I mean? Yes, there's a gap there, but how do you know like the market's there for that?
Like there's a need there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the size of it?
Yeah. Or how you, yeah.
I mean, I guess for every product or service, it's different.
Yeah.
I think for our service, the crazy thing about our service is like people were not thinking about, hey, I need to get somebody else to drive my pet to the groomer.
Right.
Like that just is not
Right. I would never.
There's not enough conditioning yet.
purviews.
Yeah.
Exactly.
However, proof of concept, an echelon of an industry, Uber Eats, fast delivery, these delivery services for food. Now you have taxis are gone away. We're using Uber and Lyft. I mean, the echelon, the model of which it was happening, it was ebbing just in more services in that industry. And this would be another service in that industry of ride sharing style, or, picking up on your app of who can help you out and provide some logistical support.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the economy of convenience is just,
it's not going the other direction.
And we are both, how do they phrase it? It's like both creating the market and fulfilling the market. Like,
dude,
people don't even think about like, oh, hey, like I said, I got to get somebody to drive my dog to the vet or to the groomer. And so we've got to tell people like, that's an option.
Yeah.
You don't have to leave work at 10:30 to go pick up your pet, take them to the groomer, come back to work, then go back at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's a pain.
That's a huge convenience that you didn't even know existed.
Yeah. And, one of the things that we do on our app is we actually tell people how much time they save.
Oh, that's cool.
So it'll say like, you've saved yourself 45 minutes.
Oh my god.
So that they can place a value on that
That's a huge
time.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, why am I paying $25 for this ride? Well, is your time worth more than $25? Oh, well, yes.
Yeah.
So,
dude, that's a huge win.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's actually sweet.
So, one huge risk. I remember when you were like, I just got laid off at this company.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. And I would say for not many people that maybe don't know you as well, like, well, that guy's probably a company guy for his life. He's probably a company guy. But Marty, in my mind, this is my observation, Marty's never first to speak. Marty's first to contemplate. He's always he's a very cerebral guy, and I've always appreciated about you because you bring great insight and a different angle on things, that you're asking different questions than the status quo, and your actions have shown that too throughout your life. So I'm curious to, being as risk averse as you are though, what was that feeling like? You're like, okay, I'm gonna go down this road, because you said we can't give up on something, but I'm gonna fully commit. I mean, that kind of gives me goosebumps thinking about, and you can't see these through the podcast, but I'm getting goosebumps thinking about what Marty was going through at that point in time, because it was a big change from what you had been used to.
Yeah, I think so. I don't perceive myself as risk adverse.
Okay, cool.
I actually perceive myself as like relatively the exact opposite.
I love that. That's cool. That's awesome. My assumption is terribly off.
I really like taking risks. So I didn't see this as a risk.
Awesome.
I saw this as, staying, going and getting a full-time job working for somebody else. I saw that as more of a risk.
Yeah.
Dude, that's badass.
Than for starting this business.
Before you go on, because I want you to continue, because that highlights an exceptional point to me, is that, well, I just made an assumption about that of you, and I've known you for a long time, but that was not the message you've ever told yourself, right? Like, for people out there that think or have to feel like this like pull to do what everybody else is watching you and telling you to do, is not necessarily what you have to do. You are still walking to the beat of your own drum, even if people on the outside looking in think that you're not. Like you're playing somebody else's role right now. But no, I love that. The message you were telling yourself guided you the entire way, not somebody else's message, which I think is a great message in itself. I think that's awesome. So kudos to you, man. That's badass.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it as a risk. I saw it as an
cool.
opportunity. And I think even though I wasn't I'm not a developer. I basically had to start from ground zero to build this whole thing up.
Yeah.
It has been really a huge learning experience.
Oh,
I love. So we were in strategic planning last week with we're using a system called EOS to implement in the business. And huge shout out to David Slavatsky, who is helping us implement EOS in our business. But we were talking, and I was telling our CMO, like, the reason I started this business partially is, one, I thought it was a great idea, and I still think it is. I wanted the experience and adventure of starting a business.
And you're an adventurous guy, though.
Yeah.
You are an adventurous guy. You like, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I can't travel. I've got small kids, like we've got soccer on all day Saturday,
Right.
So
we all have two girls, it sounds like. You have two girls still?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we all have two girls.
Yeah.
It's very similar ages.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yep. I could go his oldest daughter, my daughter, your daughter, then my daughter, and then your daughter.
That's funny.
It's cool. Yeah. I mean, we are all right there under 8.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah. Which is such a fun age, too.
Yeah.
So cool.
I mean, but I can't do the traveling that I used to do. I can't just jet off to another part of the world.
Right.
So I look at this as kind of like my adventure.
That's awesome. What a great lens.
So, okay, so you walk me through this real quick. You launched this 4 years ago?
So we started the idea 4 years ago. We launched the original website, which was like
Squarespace.
I think we spent like $3,000 on building this website and getting it like hooked up to Stripe.
Yep.
And just putting it out there. I think we spent like $3,000 or something like that.
Which is probably laughable now.
Bare minimum. Yeah. I mean, we used it up until basically 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like
that original setup.
The original setup, we were still using it up until
app
3 weeks
launch,
ago
yeah.
till the app launch.
It's actually locked in a box now, and it's being sold on eBay. And
Yeah.
It's a commemorative,
Yeah.
decorative ornament.
It's still live. It's still live somewhere in the guts of the web, but yeah. And it really truly was like, this is a test. Like
Yeah.
we've got to figure out. And we had a lot of questions about, it was a 1-page website. That's it.
Wow.
Like the bounce rate on this thing was crazy. It was like low 90s.
What is the bounce rate?
Bounce rate is a bounce rate is calculated by if people can only go to if they only go to one page of your website and like how long they stay on it.
Okay.
So people could go to our website, read our one page, and move on in like 30 seconds. So our bounce rate was like,
Got it. Okay. So people got out of there pretty quick.
Yeah. So we got, we just didn't know. We honestly did not know what the constraints of people were going to be.
Yeah.
Huge interest is like, who's driving my pet? Who are the actual people
Yeah.
that are going to drive my pet? And so, we learned like our new website has profiles of our drivers on there. So that people can go and see. And once they meet our drivers, I always say our drivers are going to love your pet almost as much as you do. And it's true. Like we have incredible
lovers,
drivers.
They love animals. They just love
They
it.
just, yes.
That's cool.
So
walk me through the process of like, if I want to be a driver, is there like anything I have to go through?
yes. So to become a driver, so now you would download the app. You'd apply through the app.
Okay.
We would, you have to do a little training on the app itself. Then we basically take you through a background check. We get you registered with the USDA as a handler for pets.
Oh.
And then you're ready. Yeah.
It's pretty legit then.
Is there any special
you have to have
handling
had,
of the cargo?
what's that?
Is there any special of the handling of the cargo? Like they're not just throwing them in the back of a pickup and like they shuttle them over.
Yeah, so we've got a standard protocol particularly with dogs.
Yeah.
Cats always ride in a carrier.
Yeah.
So
Pretty easy.
yeah, it's like carrying a suitcase, except it's meowing.
Yeah.
But dogs, our drivers will always go and meet the dog inside.
Yes. Yeah.
If the dog is not wearing a harness, our drivers have harnesses. They will place a harness on the dog.
Okay.
Cool.
They then take the dog to the car, put the dog either into the back seat of their car. All of our drivers drive their own vehicles.
Yeah.
So they either place the dog in the back seat of their car or in the cargo area of
Yeah.
the SUV.
Yeah.
And then they tether the dog to a seatbelt or an anchor. So we've got a
And they make these for dogs. Like I've seen.
yeah,
This is a
It's
standard
nothing. We're not
practice.
making anything special just
Yeah,
for leash.
which
Like
is
this
good.
is all. It gives the dog enough room to
Move around a little bit.
move around,
Not feel
get comfortable.
restricted. Yeah.
But they're not like you see some of these things where like the dog is like completely
Strapped in.
strapped in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so. We think it's a safe way. We haven't had any problems.
Yeah. Knock on wood. Yeah.
Up till now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Knock on wood.
What? Just curious because this is such a new environment to me. What do you have that is proprietary that you have trademarked? Like, what do you? So you kind of hold on. Is there some things in there that you guys have had to kind of bring in the reins on that are yours?
So I mean, like our name is trademarked. So we've just gone through the whole development process.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Okay.
With Apsky Labs here in Omaha is our developer. Taylor Korinsky runs Apsky. They do an amazing job. We have not gone through and done like a pure audit of the system yet to say, okay, this is IP that we need to.
Cool.
But we will.
It's in time.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
To say, okay, we need to lock this down and make sure that it gets
Nice.
things get.
Nice.
Yeah. But there are, 4 million. I mean, the list just gets longer and longer, and there's no way you can get to everything in a day, in a week, in a month.
Chunking it out.
Yeah.
So, like, what's your current client base been like? So before you did it, you were just talking to us before the podcast about you were doing like everything yourself, basically. Not everything, but you were doing a lot of stuff yourself. Like, Texting, sending out the drivers. Hey, you're going to go pick this up.
You've had to run dogs before.
Yeah. I mean, so the way our system worked to begin with, a ride would come in. We had one system for taking rides, reservations, and then I would have to transfer that ride to a scheduling software.
Got it.
And that scheduling software had like a column for every driver that we had.
Okay.
So I would have to write a text that would say like leash ride request Monday, May 8th, 7:30 a.m., one way dog chipper, from this address to this address.
Oh, that's a lot.
This is the distance. This is the payout for the driver. Please accept or decline. Write that out. I mean, I could do it quickly.
Template, yeah.
But then I would send that out as text messages to drivers. So I'd have to figure out like who was the closest driver.
Oh my goodness.
Send that out. Wait for a reply. If they declined, I'd send it out to the next driver. But that is part of testing the market.
Right.
Like you can't go and spend it. It is one of the things they say early on when starting a startup is, like go scrappy, like go cheap,
very
go scrappy.
bootstrap. Yeah.
Like
It makes sense. Rather than spend millions of dollars on an app or something right away.
Yeah. Well, then you're going to find out all these little nuances that you're going to need to know anyways.
yes.
And
So
the only way you can do them is painfully.
yeah. So when we
point.
launched in June of 2020. We were supposed to launch in April of 2020.
Right.
COVID started in March. We had the website was almost ready. I was like, what are we going to do? Are we going to go? Like I was planning on bringing on drivers. Finally in June, I was like, we're going. Like we're going live. And I just decided I would do all the driving. So for the first year, or for the first 9 or 10 months, I did every ride.
And that was in the old Mazda, right?
This is the old Mazda.
He drove forever.
Yeah,
Did
still
they know
driving.
you were
it.
the
It's
owner?
Still driving.
Did they
it.
know you were the owner? Some of them.
They knew I was the owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Because I would call, like, they would call or whatever. I would answer the phone.
Yeah.
I'd come to pick up.
How has it grown? Mainly word of mouth.
So we have two. So yes, word of mouth. But we also we partner directly with pet care businesses. So we partner with veterinarians. We partner with doggy daycares. We partner with
supply companies.
Mostly places. Yeah, almost all places that you're going to take your pet to.
Got it.
And so what we have done is we've actually given them the ability to schedule rides directly for their customers.
Got it.
Wow,
Oh, that's
interesting.
sweet.
So imagine if you, do you have a dog?
Yeah.
What's your dog's name?
Molly.
Molly. Imagine if you call up your groomer and you're like, I really got to get Molly groomed. And they're like, well, the only time that we have available this week is at 11 a.m. on Wednesday. And you're like, geez, well, I'm in the, 11 a.m. is like the worst
Middle
time.
of the day.
Wheelhouse.
Yeah. Your groomer can say, well, we do have a pickup and drop off. We can schedule you a ride. And then they go and they can actually schedule the ride directly for you. We go and fulfill the ride for them. The groomer earns a percentage of that ride for every ride that they schedule.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you think about
It makes
too,
sense to do it that
but
way.
it also adds a huge value add to the veterinarian too, and their
Totally.
schedule's
Yeah.
full. There's no gaps in the schedule.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's a benefit for everybody.
Yeah, there's a win-win
Yeah.
all the way around.
Yeah.
So, just out of pure curiosity, have you guys done anything like? Because I was just thinking, my first thought when you said you launched the app, I was like, dude, I'd be trying to get Petco, PetSmart, all their email lists,
Yeah.
and partner with them somehow. Have you guys done stuff like that, kind of?
Yeah. So we do partner with the Dogtopias here in town. That's about as big as we've gotten. The interesting thing about some of these larger players is that they have their own systems.
Yeah.
So they're all virtual. Like you're not really going to call anybody at Petco to schedule a ride. You're going to go through their scheduling system. They're going to show you what appointments they have available. So for us, it's, getting our software to a point where we can begin to, partner with
That kind of stuff.
those businesses.
Integrate with it.
Yeah.
Have you started to tap into the rescue organizations as well?
We do actually. Our current new platform does have the capacity for us to partner directly with rescue.
That's cool.
With rescue organizations.
Because I know they do a lot. Like in Omaha, I've seen like their meetups, and
Yeah.
there's just like people there to see the dogs, and then like, oh, and I actually could do this, and while I'm fostering one, now I don't have to worry about getting out of the house.
Yeah, the thing about like a lot of rescues is they are fostered at home, you know, so they're not in, you know, the rescue doesn't have a physical location. They're dependent on foster families. So a lot of times these foster animals have vet appointments, grooming appointments that the foster family has to take that animal to. So, you know, we think like what a great opportunity to help these, you know, foster organizations when the foster families are
already
they
helping.
have places they're already taking care of the animal. Let's help them get that animal to and from their appointments.
Yeah.
So it's not, and you know, it makes it more convenient for foster parents so that they can have a foster animal without having the trouble of. So hopefully we can, you know, get more foster parents for those animals with, you know, by using Leash.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
kind of circling back, when you started to realize the previous role you're in, you were trying to figure out what was the next. You know, what was that process like coming to the kind of the full ownership of like, God, I just don't see myself here much longer.
I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think for me, I wanted to have my own thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was just a matter of like, how do I get there?
Yeah.
You know,
cool.
I never had this idea of like, oh, okay, I'm going to go and look for another job.
Right.
It was like,
You're looking
cause
for an
I'm just moving from one employer to the next employer.
Yeah.
That really wasn't what I was interested in doing.
Huh. So it did boil over. That's cool that you just, you know what, now's a great time. This is good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and once the idea hit, I was like,
oh,
okay,
I feel good.
I'm going to figure this out.
So I know
there.
a couple other people have like done some like tech startup stuff. And one thing that blows my mind about tech startups that I don't grasp just because our business is the complete opposite is most of the time they like do all this stuff. They've been going for 20 years and they've never made a penny out of the freaking company. Like never profitable. Like Zillow, for example, like the biggest app, they've like never made money before.
Yeah.
They're always negative. Or I'm like, how does that even work? You know, like I didn't comprehend it personally. But how about on your side? Have you guys ever been profitable?
No.
It's a while.
No.
You said it's a long runway for that.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's so interesting to me
profitability is a long way away from us.
Yeah, it's so interesting how that works.
There's such an upfront cost in getting
the technology,
both in the technology and then just getting the business expanded.
The infrastructure to support it.
right?
Yeah.
You know, like we will continuously be putting every dime that we earn back into the business.
Right.
I mean, it will just be.
Have you had to raise money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We closed our first round last March.
Okay.
Just explain first round. What does that mean?
So our first funding round. So we started with an MVP, which is a minimal viable product, which is the website.
Yep.
We got that to a point where we knew that pet owners wanted. We're like, okay, pet owners want to use this.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this is great. We kind of had three hurdles. One, pet owners were using us.
Yep.
Two, drivers would drive for us. That was a huge one. I was like, I'm driving. I don't know if people will want to drive for this. As soon as I started advertising that we needed drivers, we had people. I mean, we had so much interest.
I'd much rather drive a dog than a person.
I think
you're right.
a lot of people.
Much rather. Yeah.
And then the third was, will pet care businesses partner with us?
Yeah.
Have they noticed enough of a
Issues.
demand or issues with customers, that having a pickup and drop off service partnered with them is beneficial for both them and their customers. Once we kind of got through those 3 hurdles, we knew it was time to raise a round.
Yeah.
So we raised a round almost entirely from Nebraska investors.
That's awesome.
And the whole purpose of this round was to expand the business into Des Moines and Kansas City, and then to build the new platform. Yeah.
Do you feel like the investor that's interested in tech investing is maybe different than an investor that's interested in some other industry? Are they the same type of people?
No, I think they're very. I think they're very different. I think you have, obviously you have investors that are interested in real estate.
Yeah.
And there's obviously a risk in real estate, but you have some pretty significant collateral, along with that.
Yeah.
With tech investing, the investors have just a very, very high risk tolerance.
Interesting.
They invest in, 10 businesses with the expectations that one will,
be a huge hit.
Be a huge hit. Yeah. Will be like 100x or 1,000x of what they invested.
Right.
So it's more.
How much did the company in a round, how much of the company did you sell off in one round? Or does it not work like that?
Yeah, it's proprietary.
Okay. You're good. I was just curious how that works.
Yeah.
But some people only thing I've ever seen with raising money is like Shark Tank stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the Shark Tank, so most of the things that you see on Shark Tank are products.
Yeah.
If you ever notice, it's, a scrub brush or it's not
paint
services.
saver.
Right.
Yeah. It's something that they can take on to QVC.
And those people there have
sell.
that skill so they could sell it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very rarely do you see this is a service that we need.
Now that I'm thinking of it, I don't know if I've ever seen an app or anything.
No, I don't think. Maybe a couple of things with some video stuff.
It's very much product based.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
So getting into tech as never being into it before, what was maybe some assumptions you made that you were like, that was wrong?
Probably quite a bit, huh?
Well,
yeah.
Going back to the drawing board on that one,
I wanted to go big.
Yeah.
My gut was I know exactly how I want this thing to look.
Atlanta, here we come.
I want it to I want to build this app out the gate. I want to spend how much is this going to cost? Where am I going to find the funding? Let's build it. Let's do it. And I'm very, very lucky. So the state of Nebraska is honestly a really good place to be a tech entrepreneur.
Silicon Prairie, baby.
Why? Why is that?
One, because we actually have a very good incubator community here. There are a number of organizations that will actually help with getting a tech startup off the ground. First and foremost, the Nebraska Department of Economic Development has the prototype grant. So the prototype grant will give a new startup up to $150,000. They'll match up to $150,000 to build your first prototype of the product.
Wow.
And the state will actually invest money into new startups. So there is a fund that is owned by the state. It's operated by Invest Nebraska. And
now our property taxes make sense now.
And they will
I get it now.
and they will invest into startups. And then you have I think it's a fairly strong, close-knit community of startups in Nebraska. So
do you have other people than startups that you've known and connected with through all this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's probably really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the first thing you're like, I need to Google this?
Oh, I mean, everything.
Right.
I mean, literally
ChatGPT,
everything.
where have you been my whole life?
Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean, it just, I know enough. I've done enough things from ground zero in life to know that I don't want to know everything.
Great.
I only need to know enough to keep me excited about still moving forward.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, please.
Especially I feel in the startup world, like, there is a level of ignorance is bliss. Like if you know all the problems that you're going to have to deal with,
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
then you will not.
You wouldn't even go for it.
You wouldn't even go for
Yeah.
it.
Be debilitated.
Yeah,
It would be
that makes sense.
Paralysis.
It would be crushing. You just work one problem at a time.
But it's cool you said too, though, like that's almost a place of where you continue to occupy your mind so you can stay forward thinking. Like ignorance, well, I'll just go have somebody help me with that because they'll know it and then I can keep moving versus like, well, now I need to dive in and master that. That's not the thinking that creates growth. You're like, well, somebody else will know that better than me. I don't need to waste time on that.
I think there's a little bit of both.
Okay.
You know, like I think early on, like we use HubSpot as a CRM.
Yep.
I am the type of person where I will spin for hours on like something like HubSpot where you can just go on Fiverr or Fever, whatever it's called,
Fiverr,
and find somebody to help you
master it.
like deal with your HubSpot for, $20 an hour.
Dude.
And you're like,
Yeah.
why didn't I do that?
Dude, that's great.
But I like to be in the guts. I like to know what is going on. I don't.
Feels a little out of control.
Somebody has to mind the store. You know,
Yeah.
Like you can't just have a business where you don't really know how things work. So
That's cool. That's great.
Yeah.
You were talking about with kind of going back to the idea of like what else what you said you've grown a ton, and sometimes I feel like it's hard when you get older because you get in this like the rat race of life to find like large growth. But sounds like, what does that look like for you coming into this space? Like, who are you now that you were not 3 years ago? Like, obviously you have some fundamental that stay the same, but what is, in your world, like, I know you still as Marty, a friend of mine, but there's some definite changes, and I feel like that have probably happened.
It's interesting because, like, I don't think I'm like more serious. I think I'm the same individual. I think I'm, I don't know how to describe it. Like
Engaged?
Yeah, I'm definitely more engaged.
Interesting.
Like, just more like
Professionally, personally?
Individually? Definitely professionally.
Okay.
Like, constantly thinking about, probably thinking too much.
Sure.
On a daily basis about the business. Just
all the problems, all the things you need to take care of, all the
opportunities, whatever.
Yeah. But I think
things you wanna
honestly, what it has done is it has brought my true personality and my true capability like to the forefront.
I actually feel like you've been easier going.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Freer.
I know what I'm doing. That's the thing. It's like
clarity is focus.
I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing with my life.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
For the foreseeable future.
Some direction.
And whereas I think before I didn't feel that way. I was like, oh, what am I doing? Like, but now I'm like,
that's cool.
But it's actually kind of a bit of a homecoming for me because I think this is like running a business is like what not just what I want to do. Like it feels like what I should be doing.
Wow. Yeah. Cool.
So
how many people you have working with you on your team?
So we have, I have a chief CMO or chief marketing officer, Brooke Janicek, who she's like a fractional CMO. I have the development team, which is through Appski.
Okay.
And then we have about 50 drivers. So
that's cool.
It's kind of.
What is a fractional CMO?
Fractional is like we share the CMO with other businesses.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
She's like a contract. She's like contract based where she's like working. She's working with her company and said company. That's cool. What? what are you most excited about in the next like 3 to 6 months? I mean, things are happening pretty fast. Just launch your app.
Yeah.
What's
I'm really excited to see like how this app begins to increase engagement.
Yeah.
Has your current client database really liked it so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, we're always concerned about, what are the issues?
Right.
People get used to the system that they use.
Yeah.
Right.
When you go on whatever it is and
they change
it, you're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I knew where everything was. And now, so I'm sure there will be a bit of that of clients that were like, oh, well, I really liked, having to call you and talk to you, and I'm like, that's great. We still have a phone number. You can still call and schedule a ride, but there's a lot of folks that, they want the simplicity of just being able to go into their pocket and schedule that ride.
Yeah, I would never want to call and schedule a ride.
Yeah, that's going to be fading off.
Yeah, I would never want to do that.
You're not going to get much more of that.
But some people will,
it's
probably.
interesting because we are driving people's pets.
That's
we're not
true.
just dropping off,
like a kid.
We're not dropping off a pizza.
It's true.
So people have questions. People want to talk to a person.
That does make sense, actually. People are really weird with their pets.
So like your tagline, depending on your family dynamic, we're taking care of your first or second most valuable person in your family.
Yes. Oh no, it's true.
I love that.
You can definitely tell the pet parents who they have no children.
Yep.
This is their kid versus the pet parents who are like, we've got 3 kids and this is our pet.
Yeah.
Not that they love them any different, anymore.
Yeah.
It's just a priority.
That's a priority. That's
yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
How has the communication been being a tech entrepreneur and then try to manage family? And,
That's
on another side, and your spouse is self-employed. Like, how has that been?
Honestly, I like it. I work from home.
Yeah.
So I'm, when it's dinner time, it's like, hey dad, it's dinner time.
All right.
Like I'm right there.
Yeah.
I do think, and this is tough being a tech entrepreneur it never gets turned off.
Never is turned off. Yeah.
It never gets turned off.
Probably.
I mean, there used to be times where we were literally sitting at dinner and, someone say, I really need a ride. And it's very difficult to say no when you are just starting.
You just can't.
You just are like, I am going to do every single ride that I possibly can. And if a driver's not available, guess who that falls on? Me.
You still do rides?
I still do rides.
I think that's
not a lot.
Yeah.
I probably do 1 or 2 rides a month.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of times I do it just to keep myself fresh.
Yeah.
Like I did a ride this weekend so that I could test the app.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see how
Totally,
does this work? Is it working correctly? I mean, I've tested it a million times, but
just to make sure.
Like, let's make sure that this is working on, live.
I think, and kind of a question for both of you guys, how important or how much of a leg up does it give you availability to be successful?
What do you mean?
So he's like, you just can't say no sometimes. And I've heard the quote, sometimes the best ability is availability. And I feel like that's pretty close to the truth, man.
Oh, totally, dude. Totally. Especially what we do is 100% that. If you're not available, they move on.
Move on.
Totally move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a couple agents that have worked on my team before, and I feel like that was a really hard concept to understand how wide availability spans in their life.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were doing it right. They just had really healthy boundaries that I never had. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think there's something to be said to kind of testing your mettle, but also gaining your footing of being like that grit of like, hey, now we got to go now. This is it. This is I have to do this.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they need to ride at 11, you can't wait till tomorrow at 11.
No, you can't say, hey, can I do it in a half hour? Like, no.
The appointment's in 30 minutes, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's some leeway to it. That might be exaggerated, but you know what I mean.
If I were to say, no, sorry, I can't help you.
Dude, you might be turned off by them forever.
I just lost a cut,
Yeah.
A recurring customer.
Yeah, recurring customer.
And you're starting to see, because of your recurring customers, if they shut it off, you can see quantifiably and financially what that client's worth.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
which is cool.
That is quantifiable pretty easily,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
The LTV of the
Yeah.
client. Yeah.
we have folks that use us on a weekly
Yeah.
basis, sometimes multiple times a week.
Wow.
So yeah, you can see really quickly.
For being a guy that's highly educated and very astute looking with those glasses,
Thank you.
flow of hair,
Sweater.
sweat.
I
love-
forget to get
Sweater
haircuts.
vest.
Dude, I'm telling you, you look like a smart guy. You can't
It's
deny
the
it.
best in the
You
button-up
walk into
shirt
a
with the
room
roll-up
like
sleeves,
that
too.
guy knows some shit.
Yeah.
All right. But how much would you say, or maybe in your educational background, your upbringing, how much has been hard knocks learning through trial and error, and how much is like, oh, that prepared me. That was, that institution prepared me. That class prepared me. That mentor.
I would say
No knock on an institution. I'll send any names here.
No. But I think I don't think that institutional learning, I don't think that they're what's the right word? I don't think it's either or.
Okay.
I think what I always chose, I felt like to do, I thought were like hard, like difficult things.
But really rewarding.
Yeah. Like, so when I was in undergrad, I was in business school. I started out in business school.
Yeah.
And after my sophomore year, I switched into civil engineering. And I was like, there was a steady stream of students switching from engineering into business. But I was like the only guy who was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go make life harder for myself and switch into engineering. And it truly was. I was like, what have I done?
Yeah.
But I did that. And then after that, I joined the Peace Corps after graduating from undergrad. And I remember telling the Peace Corps, like, I want to go to an extremely remote area. Like, I want to live in the middle of nowhere.
And what made you want to do that?
I wanted it to be difficult.
And a unique experience that you
I wanted it to be difficult. And so they sent me, which doesn't sound like a very difficult place, but they sent me to the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
But they didn't put me on a beach.
No.
They put me way up in the mountains. There were no roads to where I lived. You had to hike into my community. It took an hour to hike into my community.
Did you hike the entire time you were down there?
I hiked. I hiked and I bought a mule. I owned a mule. And
That you would ride?
the vast majority of the time, like 98% of the time, I was hiking around these mountains.
Did you ride the mule?
I rode the mule every so
Oh,
often.
that's
Dude,
freaking awesome.
you think about like, oh, I've made it. I've got a mule.
Yeah. And I bought the
Mule probably carried stuff for you and stuff too.
I bought, this was a huge mistake, is that for the amount of money that I paid for this huge mule, I bought the F-350.
The diesels, the dualies.
I could have gotten two F-150 mules for the same price.
So
which
you were like
would
the
have been
second
better.
coming of Jesus riding into this compound on the mule, on the back of the mule. The people are, thank you, Marty.
Yeah, but so anyways, I went up there. And they told me you're going to build a water system up here.
Cool.
And my parents came down to visit me, and my dad was like, "Do you think that this is really even possible?" And I was like, I never have thought about it. I just started doing it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't think about whether or not it was possible. I just knew this is what I'm doing for the next 2 years was
Building water.
my goal is to get water from point A to this community, which is point B. And it was, we used nothing except for man and animal power to get any of that stuff done.
Did you get it there?
Yeah, we got it.
Dude,
we got it done.
What a freaking life lesson, though.
Yeah, that's sick.
I didn't
what you're doing
think
right now.
about
In
if
a way.
it could or could not happen.
Yeah, just did it.
I constantly thought about the how each day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Mind blowing. That's awesome.
We got to wrap this up a second so I got to
sorry.
head out. But,
oh my gosh, yeah.
but
it's already been.
I know it's crazy. This is awesome. We should do this again. But it actually reminded me of when I first got into real estate. I didn't think about anything like that. I was just like, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And I remember I'd been in there for like 3 or 4 years, and they were like, someone asked me, when you studied the market to get into real estate, how did you decide this is a good time and this is a good market? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Because when I got in, it was like a horrible time,
Yeah.
quote unquote. I was like, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
I didn't do any research.
Dude, no.
You know, I just was like, I'm just going to do it.
Exactly.
Figure it out.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think you just have to be like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go do it.
Right. If you would have really dug into to app development and the market research, you'd have been like, screw this.
And you would have been reading
Yeah.
the wrong stuff too. You're like,
Yeah,
this
and it
isn't
wouldn't
even
have been
what I'm
relevant.
doing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's not who I'm not going to be
Yeah.
that person. That's not my
True.
role.
Yeah.
That's
Dude,
so
I think
true.
that's badass, dude.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Well, just in closing here, what is your plan for Leash going forward? Like, I guess for yourself, what's the next step?
Yeah. I mean, next steps is we'll start to expand.
Yeah.
Like we'll start to, we are going to let the app play out for a few months
Yep.
in our existing markets. So we currently serve Omaha, Lincoln, Des Moines, and Kansas City.
Yep.
We're going to build up those markets, let the app kind of work things out,
Yep.
let it build
Incubate.
build our partner base up in those
Yep.
cities. And then we'll begin to expand into the rest of the United States,
Sweet.
into other markets.
What
So-
advice would you have for a new guy who's got an idea, had a light bulb moment? It's like, what's my next step? What do we gotta
Just start working at it.
do? Yeah.
Drop
I
3
mean-
grand on a website, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very easy, like ideas there are a million ideas and
Yeah.
people start with an idea and then they kind of just let it
Fizzle
they let it fizzle out.
Yeah.
And that's the key, is getting over those humps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is to, you're going to want to let it fizzle out. And there are easy times to just,
Cut ties.
off exit,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm done. Yeah.
But you've just got to stick with it. You've
That's
just
cool,
got to
dude.
keep working at it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Dude,
thanks
this
for
is
having
awesome.
me. I
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much,
Yeah.
Marty.
Yeah.
It's
Can't wait to hear
fantastic.
this in production.
Yeah.
This is gonna be cool. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Yeah.
See ya.